Now, let's see if we can do this without having a mad dash to absolute tyranny for this video. But I was sitting there thinking, my mom and I have loads of conversations. Just, I can't seem to get this to be still. My mom and I have loads of conversations about different things, mostly spiritual things, and relating life experiences and circumstances to things that are occurring in our lives at the present moment, right? And so we're always hashing those things out. So I'm often entertained by being such a mindset advocate as I am, and spending, the last decade on mindset work, self-development and those sorts of things, actually much longer than that. But if we're doing a timetable, okay, I didn't start counting, but I've been reading and learning about self-development psychology since I was probably 17. I've always found it fascinating. Is it my Pisces? I don't know. Maybe it is. Okay. But I was contemplating just yesterday, and I thought it would be a very interesting topic of conversation. So what I thought I'd do is turn the camera on, because although I know I look like I've been drugged from beneath the, southern porch after having been there for 2 weeks. So pardon me and my appearance, but I wanted to get this out because I thought it was very important and something quite profound, actually. And so what I was thinking about was, I was talking to my mom, and I said, what I've learned recently, or evaluated, should I say, is British RP. Me learning my British RP, received pronunciation, right? My British course that I took it began, I believe, right at the start of the pandemic, and so 2020. And I'll give you the genesis of why that happened if you're not presently aware. But I said it's very, very similar to manifestation. And here I'm going to explain those reasons why, because I thought it was profound, actually. So, first of all, the reason that I wanted to do the course was because I wanted to do the audio books for my children's books. They all take place in the 19th century. So as you know, that I write, if you've been following my blog or you've been reading my particular Instagram post and so forth, that I write in the Victorian era, which, I'm in really love. And so that's at the heart of everything that I do. Live, dress, all that. I did turn on the light because I needed a light in this room. It kept saying, you need more light. So anyway, I had to turn on the light. But what I'm saying is, I wanted to do the audiobooks, especially for my son's book, The Tale of Sawyer Lamb. And so as I began, I had written that book quite rather quickly. But as I began to do research and thinking, I want this audio to be in England, because all my books are written to take place in England and British, right? And so I wanted to have the audio, obviously, in British. Okay, it would make perfect sense, would it not? And when I began looking on like Fiverr and things like that, I thought, I'm going to hire, a beautiful British person that has an accent to do the audiobook. And just something compelled me that I just thought, why would I've got the money in the bank. I've got enough quid to spend on a course, because I just couldn't bear to not read this, or rate this book from the sense that it was, it was me birthing basically my son again in book form, because it was my healing mechanism for my son's death. It was very, very healing for me. So it's taken on an entirety of its own. And so I was like, no, I'm not. I just don't feel good about it, leaving that into the hands of someone else. I want to do it myself. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm the kind of person, I've always loved that sort of thing anyway. I was always fascinated by the fact that little Ryan Johnny, which is Johnny Lamb in the book, okay, so this is a little bit of backstory on Sawyer's the Tale of Sawyer Lamb. So little Johnny, his name is Ryan Johnny, and Ryan Johnny is based on the character of Sawyer's little British friend that grew up in Nuneaton, which is where the books, takes place and everything. And when he came to America, when his mom married an American, so they moved to America when I'm going to call him Ryan or Johnny, when Johnny was probably 10 or 11, and that's when he met Sawyer. And I noticed that he had a bit of a British accent, but he was trying to at the time. I could tell it was starting to sound American, and I was like, "Darling, are you British?" Because I didn't know him, but he came over for a play date one day, play with Sawyer because he loved Sawyer. They hit it off quite directly, and so Sawyer would have him over quite often. And I knew that he had a British accent, so I was very intrigued by that because, obviously I've forever Americanized, have always identified with Britain, and so it's just become more of a obsession. You can call it obsession. I think obsession is a positive thing in a positive way. And so I would sit and have chats with him, and he would tell me how he was like, no, I want to become an American eventually, and I would also like to only speak American. Like I want to speak, a Southern accent, like from Florida, because that's where, we were living at the time. And I just found it quite fascinating that a little British boy, this little lad did not want to speak British. And I'm like, do you, what are you talking about? That's maddening. Who would not want to speak with a British accent? You've got a British accent naturally. That's where you're raised. But it just goes to show you that everyone comes from different experiences in life circumstances where, nothing is predictable. You never quite know what's going on in someone's life, completely different. Whereas as an American, it sounds like absurdity, but for little Johnny it was not absurdity. He was just so bent on wanting to be an American. Then so it became a great in a sense became quite admirable for me when I began taking my course, because I would have a chat with Johnny on numerous occasions and say, like, I remember times when I would have him come around the house, and I would say, hey, yeah, I would be a little stickler, and I'd say, oh no, but you got to speak British, you can't speak American, you got to speak British, and he'd be like, Mrs. English, why you make me speak with British accent? I really don't want to speak that way because it makes it too difficult, because I'm around my mom and she speaks British, so I'm around her all the time, and it's very, very hard, Now I understand what he was trying to say, because it's very difficult when you're trying to learn an accent and there's people around you constantly speaking not your language. So now I understand that. Now let me get on to how it's very similar in manifestation, because just as manifestation, you think about when you were a child, okay? Manifestation is nothing more than thinking a thought over and over, which creates belief, right? It's very simplistic. It's not hard. We've made it very difficult in this climate of the world, where we got these law of attractions and law of assumptions and all of these, videos and the TikTok and all that sort of thing. I've not been on TikTok, but I've heard, and people will send me, video clips and all the time. So anyway, and so what I thought is basically that is all manifestation is, right? Is thinking a thought. I mean, obviously you can make it more abstract and you can, confound it if you would like to, but in the sense that I'm trying to explain this about my particular experience with British RP, as well as understanding how it's relative to manifestation is that when you were in elementary school, when you were a child and you were learning cursive handwriting, right? If you were that old, like back in the day when that was part of the educational system, you had to learn your times tables, your mathematics, and you learned it, right? You learned it by keep doing your penmanship over and over again, like, and then you would fix it, and then you would keep focusing until you got it. You keep learning it through being repetitious. That is exactly how I feel about the British RP accent, right? Because over and over, it's taught me that you have to absolutely stay so entirely focused. Like, as soon as you drop focus of something, especially if you're my age and you're learning, that's a limited belief, but you know how in psychology they say that children that are younger are more impressionable, and so they can learn languages and different things like that at a faster pace. So that's probably, a limiting belief. But as an adult, I'm reminded constantly that in order to do a good accent and to pull it off, right? Because I don't want to sound a bit like naff, that I've got to keep focused constantly. Like, as soon as you let down your guard at any moment, because I'm around Americans all day, there's no other British people, you know what I mean? Like, the only time I'm getting British is I have to like consume my mind in it by, BritBox and everything, like podcasts, television shows, everything has to be British RP or British, because if you do not saturate yourself, it's just like with manifestations, if you do not saturate yourself with new beliefs, and affirm, without effort, like affirming is supposed to be done without effort, because effort plus focus equals manifestation. Okay, so always remember that. If you're putting effort into it, it needs to become where behind the effort, it's a happiness and a take joy kind of, you're having fun with it. When it becomes effortless is when you have fun behind it and joy. I don't affirm if I'm feeling a bit terrible or, cranky or something like that. I'm not going to affirm, because all you will do is reinforce and equate effort to negativity, because you're forcing it, right? So you don't want to do that. But that's exactly how my accent is. If I ever don't focus on it, I notice that someone in my family, my relations, will say, Raquel, you're losing it. You're losing it. It's going away. Now, that could also be that when I'm listening to myself, because I don't hear, Michelle Dockery, because she was, when I went through the course, they say you have to find a celebrity that you really, really like, and then you emulate them, right? That's exactly what you do when you are trying to manifest and become the person that you really desire to be. You're going to find someone that has successfully done what you want to do, and you emulate them. It's not obsessive. It's not weird. You want to find someone that is what you want to embody at some point or another, right? Until you manifest it for yourself. So Michelle Dockery was my person, right? And I've heard her do many, many movies and all of that sort of thing. And she did say that one time on a set. I think it was Godless. And she was talking about how she didn't want anyone to talk to her because she had to be in her American accent. And so if there was a British person like off the camera, or, behind the scenes or something like that, and they started talking to her, at around lunchtime or something, in luncheon, she would get very like, please don't talk to me, because, her accent will come right straight away back, And so anyway, that's very much what I wanted to share with you, because I thought it's so vitally, not vitally, but I thought it was absolutely so fascinating, is that the correlation between those two of manifesting and staying focused, and how important manifesting is loads to do with being focused. You know, it's so intriguing, and it's been such a whirlwind, you know what I mean? Like, I've learned so much about the fact that, you know, when you're learning an accent and everything, I don't know how it would be, you know, because I'm not learning an entirely new language. I'm just learning dialect, right? So somebody might be Sicilian or want to learn Italian or French or whatnot, you know. And I thought that was another interesting thing, because I said to someone not long ago, why is it no, was it my mom? I think it was my mom. We were talking about that. And I said, you know what I think is so interesting is that people will, now understandably, I don't want to put everyone to boot in this particular conversation, but on a general notion, okay, let's go on that score. But when someone's learning Spanish because they want to go to Spain, right? They want to go to Spain and they want to, you know, spend the summer there, or they want to travel the world and go to Bali or whatever, you know, Asia and whatnot. And they want to learn the particular language, right? So they might take a course or something because they want to be able to talk that way and be able to get along with the locals and be able to have that not have a communication barrier, right? So they take up the course and the whatever, and like you learn about them and you're like, oh yeah, that's really, really cool. I really, really think that's really, really cool. I like that. But when someone takes up like a British accent or something, it's like, why is that so different? Now, I've never had that experience. I've actually had very, very positive response, and it's because I manifested that. I manifested that everyone that knows me or knows that I took British RP, and now I just naturally have acclimated to speaking that way through habit and force. And so because I've done that, like, I don't think, like, when I hear myself though, like on video or anything like that, I don't sound very British to me. To me, I don't sound very British. And that could be because, like, even my relations, like my husband and my parents or whatnot, they're like, no, maybe it's because you've gotten so naturally you do it that you don't recognize it anymore, you know. So maybe that is a part of it. Because when I go to, you know, the grocery store or, you know, the local charity shop or anywhere, like I go in public, and people are quick to say, oh, where are you from? Are you from England? Obviously, I tell them, no, I'm an American. I was born in Georgia. Like, no, I just took a British RP class and it stuck, you know. And now, if I was around, just like Johnny said, you know, the little mate that was Sawyer's, the little lad that was Sawyer's friend, you get around your American people, like, and if you're not focused, you will lose you will slide out of your accent, you know. Like Johnny, he says, when I go back to Britain, when I go back to the UK, I automatically, it takes about a good 3 days, you know, and then I'm back to talking like my regular English accent. But he tries to not do it because it's kind of neat when you're an American and you're in England, I guess. I don't know. That's what he said. And so I just found it so fascinating. So I thought this, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I know I have not a stitch of makeup on, but I wanted to do it. Like, I was so utterly inspired. And so I wanted to do it right straight away, you know, because if I didn't, I would lose that curious nature of being able to come to you and give this video without, you know, loads of edits and all that. So I don't care if you think I look, you know, smashing, or if you think I look, you know, atrocious. Like, I'm here for the message, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really care what people think. If I think, I'm sure on the video, you know, on the reality show too, that you're going to see me in all sorts of manner, right? And so I might as well get used to it at this point anyway, because I'm sure there's going to be moments where when I'm on the filming that the lighting might not be so spectacular and I might look a bit terrible. And so I have to be accepting, and I love myself, so hopefully you will love my message as well. And are you excited about me going back to reality show? Are you excited? I don't know if it's actually going to be on a streaming service. It might be on one of the main networks. I'm not quite sure, but we'll find out those things at you know, specific times, but as of yet, we, you know, the class knows nothing. We know nothing. They keep all of that stuff, you know, hush hush. So anyway, I love you. I hope you're having a lovely day and you appreciated this broadcast. And as always, most affably yours till my next swim. Cheers, darlings. Toodle pip.